Ruben Amorim's comments at the weekend. The fact is they think they can get him for lower wages and potentially a lower loan fee if there is any. As the days tick on, though, do you think he'll get this move away?
I think certainly the dialogue coming out of Manchester United isn't exactly protecting his value. It's coming across a little bit desperate. Not maybe desperate's the wrong word, but like everyone knows that they don't want Marcus Rashford to be there. Marcus Rashford's obviously done an interview as well saying he'd be keen for a new challenge. So from Manchester United's perspective, I don't think they're in the strongest position. I still think he'll end up staying. We're 28 days into January now, and I've said I think this is going to be a very difficult transfer/loan to go through. I think there's a lot of complexities around it, especially when you look at Marcus Rashford's salary. For any club to even take 50% of that salary is a big ask. We know in January it's a difficult market anyway. A lot of clubs simply don't have that kind of wage that they can pay. It doesn't fit into a lot of clubs' wage structure. So I still think the most likely option here is that Marcus Rashford ends up staying, and then from there's got to be some bridges built from somewhere, because he's never been fully banished from Manchester United. This is very different to the Sancho situation of last year, where Sancho wasn't really allowed in the building, was he, to train with the first team, to see the first team. There was kind of a complete breakdown of the relationship. Because he's still training with the first team, I still feel like there is a way back for Marcus Rashford, but something needs to change because he can't go on like this. But I honestly still think he'll stay at Manchester United.
Let's get to Alejandro Garnacho. Dan mentioned it there. Napoli set to resume talks with Manchester United over Garnacho. Now, Napoli want to get an agreement in principle with the winger and his representatives. United would be reluctant sellers, but are not in a financial position to turn down a sizable offer for him. Dan, when we got this news yesterday, for me it felt like it feels more likely that United are going to try and get this deal over the line simply because of the financial position they're in right now. So do you think he's going to stay, or do you think he's going to leave?
I'm the opposite to what I think about Rashford. I think Garnacho will go, because I think there's opportunities there for him to go. I think there's a natural fit at Chelsea if he decides to go there, or a natural fit at Napoli, given in mind who's left them this summer. That's a completely different situation to Rashford, where things feel a little bit more complicated. I think he'd fit in at both teams. He doesn't necessarily fit with Manchester United at the moment and the way they're trying to line up. I think the good thing for him is that he's applying himself. All the noise coming out of the Manchester United camp is that even though there's this speculation over his future, he's doing the right things, he's displaying the right attitude. So if he does stay, he'll be no problem at all. But I think if you look at what Chelsea need and look at what Napoli need, I actually think for Garnacho now, there might be better places for him to play his football, because quite simply Amorim's system, there is no natural fit. He's not a wing back, he's not an inside 10. So long term for Manchester United, where's he going to play? Whereas I think Chelsea and Napoli, there's openings.
It's in Mbeumo to be a player of interest once again. Will this finally be the week that Manchester United make him a Manchester United player? We're expecting United to make an offer soon. They're optimistic of a deal to sign him. They'd love him to be there in time to be part of their pre-season squad. They head to America very shortly. Their last offer wasn't too far away in terms of the actual fee, but will the too far away in terms of structure of the third offer, if when it comes in, be acceptable for Brentford? And finally, what feels like a long drawn-out saga can come.
The dealings. Mateus Cunha is in. Brian Mbeumo, they remain optimistic of doing a deal for him. One source claims it could come this week, another bid to match what Brentford want. We think they want around £65 million. But both of these players have got significant Premier League experience, which has kind of been not the case, shall we say, in some of United's previous signings. They've been signing players from leagues with players that haven't had experience in the Premier League. Do you think they are learning lessons now with the approach that they're taking in this window?
I think they've got to be learning lessons after the last few windows that have gone on and haven't been the most successful windows. I think it's one of them where you need to bring in experienced players that know the league. Of course, you're going to bring in players that might not have played in the Premier League, and they could do extremely well for the club. But if you're going to go back to I go back to the boss, and at times, most of his signings that would have had Premier League experience, he would have looked and thought, are they going to gel into the squad? And he went on a dossier to make sure he knew the players' families, friends, their eating, sleeping habits. They knew everything. He was, like I say, a genius. He just knew what players would fit into a squad. That were hungry, that wanted to work hard, and had the desire to be a winner. And I think that